My name's Doug Fraser, and thank you for the viewing of the video, and want to invite those that view it on the email to come down and maybe participate at the next meeting, which is January 15th, but it's the same time as the outreach meeting. Tonight I'm going to give an update on the mobile home communities and the city issues. The first update is the changing of the code or the ordinance, and it's underway now. The city seems to have taken control of it, and they're not being real receptive to ideas. October 31st was the last date for the public to submit information. November 15th was the last date for the panel to submit information, so that's been finished. I still disagree with the way the city is communicating with the park owners versus the residents. They seem to be favoring the park owners. But the process has started, and we're glad to have it starting, so now we can move forward. They're saying that maybe a couple months they're going to have a first draft submitted, and then they're going to send out a letter inviting a public meeting and participation. So that's a couple months away. Okay, the second issue is a fifth panel member. We've already talked about it. We're still stuck with one, and thanks to John Rogers, I don't think he's here tonight, but he volunteered and put an application in. But the city rejected it, saying that it was submitted too late. Once again, the city put the deadline forward. Nobody seemed to know when the deadline was, but they just declared it was over, and John Rogers didn't get a chance to even participate as the fifth member of the panel. The mobile home communities have submitted petitions against next year's rent increase. Caravilla Mobile Home Park and Sand Canyon Mobile Home Park. So the city has tentatively scheduled a meeting for the panel on December 11th, which is the second Wednesday of December. Anybody that wants to come down, the agenda will be the petitions for Sand Canyon and Caravilla, and there's also be a third item on the agenda, which is discussing the summary issue for the summary of the ordinance itself, so it's a more legible for the residents to read. The next issue I want to talk about is that the city has received a $1.2 million grant. They receive this every year from the state, and the piece of paper that I gave out, I have some more, but it's just a paraphrase and a copy of what has already been printed. I think Spence wrote one for the Gazette, so the second half or the first half is there. The second half is a survey information, so if you have any idea of how to spend $1.2 million that the city has gotten as a grant, on here you go to this surveymonkey.com, and there's an English and Spanish version. I also have a Spanish set up. And I got some more papers if anybody wants to do that, but it's a good survey. You go in there, you can click on where your needs are for the community, or you can also write a description of what is important to you. So this is open till the end of December, so I have some more papers if anybody wants to read this. I went to a meeting last night with Scott Wilk. He's an assembly member for this area in Simi Valley, and one statement he made that stuck out with me was he said, "You can't have honesty in government without transparency." And I think that really applies to what we're seeing here on the Bermite and other issues that we're having with the chloride, and now the city's sort of not being transparent with our manufactured home communities too. So I'll leave you with that thought. We need more transparency in the city. Any questions? Okay.